Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another exciting adventure with J. Randall and J. Randall Kayak Fishing. Today, I am joined by Brian Schiller.
Paddle and fin, baby.
And we've got Scott Perz.
Yes, baby.
And we are in Green Bay fishing for the elusive walleye.
All right, so what we're doing is running inline spinners. We're running a 1 ounce weight inline in front of our crawler harness.
It's what's called pulling meat.
Crawler harness, just a basic Colorado blade with some colored beads and then 2 hooks. So what we do is we take our good old night crawler here, healthy night crawler, hook it a little bit through the head, stretch out the line.
Third ring, you want to hook it on the third ring. Oh, I'm kind of pinching this guy.
Scott getting right in the shot.
Hook through the back.
I'll get out of your way.
Shot up here. Hey Scott,
Yes, sir.
if somebody wanted to get into walleye fishing and they're on a fixed budget, they're new to the sport, what would be your recommendations?
Well, my recommendation would be any boat that you could afford. I mean, that's the first thing. You got to be able to afford your boat. Maybe your first boat isn't going to be a Ranger, which is the top of the line. Maybe you got to get a Skeeter or a Lund or a Nitro, an aluminum boat. It doesn't have to be fiberglass. There's a lot of guys out here in aluminum Lunds, and the fish can't see your boat. So whatever you can afford there. This boat is, not for your beginning fishermen. This is for more experienced tournament type fishing.
What kind of boat you got?
I got a Ranger 621 FS, VS, variable species. So we can fish a lot of different species of fish out of it. And it retails for $74,000.
Wow.
New.
Yeah, so how do John boats work out here?
No, I mean on a day like today they could work when it's flat, and that's the thing. See, with this boat, we can go out in any weather conditions. Weather really doesn't stop us unless it's thundering and lightning, something like that. But for an example, yesterday we were out in 3-footers, 4-footers. And it wasn't bad. I mean, nobody was getting soaked. Nobody came back soaked. There's a fish. That's a good sign of the back flip being off, and it's a heavy fish. Now what I want to do, I want to bring the board right to Brian so he doesn't have to reach so much and we don't have a lot of jerking going on. Oh man, this is a heavy fish. Then I bring the rod down, give him slack. He'll unclip it. There's 2 clips. He did that. Now I got the fish on the rod. No board. Feels like a nice one. There's the weight.
Oh, yeah. And I notice you're playing them really slow.
Yeah, because it's it's a nice fish. Walleyes, you try to see how he's fighting at the boat. You don't like this at the boat, because this is how he can get off.
Oh, that's a nice look.
Nice fish. Here, I'll hold him up for you. Nice eater walleye. This is like probably 23 inches, 4 pounds. Clear the net, please. And look how he's hooked. Just the skin of the hook in the top of his mouth. So
Wow.
he could have spit that at any time. Well, here we are again. After we were rudely interrupted by a fish. What were we talking about? Oh, affordability on boats. So it's really any boat that you can get yourself into. And then it's just equipment, Start out with 4 rods. In Wisconsin, you're allowed to troll 3 rods a man, but you don't have to. Whatever you can afford. Like my setup here, I don't know if you want to pan at the equipment. It's an ugly stick trolling rod. Medium heavy, fast action tip. See how the tips bend? You want a whippy rod like that really for walleyes, because they have a tendency to pull. If you have too stiff of a rod, you'll pull the fish right off the hook because you're going a mile an hour. You know, you don't set the hooks. Only time you set the hook is if you have to feed the fish. A lot of times the walleye will come up to your worm and just clamp down on the tail of it, and just you'll see your board slide back a little bit like we saw there. And then what you do is you feed him. You gently let the board go back to him so that crawler is getting forced down his mouth. You kind of force feed him. And then you set the hook, you know, just gently, and you got a fish. Easy as that. So that's about it. I mean, you know, you can start out your boats. This has a 250 horsepower motor on it. You don't need it. 18-foot boat, you know, if you get a 150, 125, 90, whatever. Aluminum boats need less of a motor, you know, but that's about it for affordability is your biggest thing. Whatever you can afford, and then it's just, you know, the smaller boats, you have to pick your days. You know, you have to pick a day like today where it's calm, basically. Just a little 6-inch ripple. This is almost a perfect walleye chop. A little bit more and it would be perfect.
And what do you say about like your rigs here? Like, how would somebody go about maybe setting that up?
Now see, this is top of the line. This is a Cisco rod holder. This is probably close to $50 to $100. Okay, they make plastic ones like I have up in the front, which are like 25 bucks.
And that's a ram mount from what I saw.
That's a ram mount, right. And this is a Cisco mount. It's just top of the line, you know. When you're fishing tournaments, you know, big fish are tough on equipment, so you got to have the best. That's my attitude. Got to have the best.
I completely agree on that.
Same with electronics, anything, you know. The more you can see, better off.
Yeah, so it was an awesome weekend up in Green Bay. I mean, we slammed some fish for sure. I know this whole style of fishing was like totally new to you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, like what are your thoughts after the recap of the weekend?
I think walleye fishing is completely, man, nobody really realizes what goes into that kind of fishing. Trolling fishing, it's some serious business. There are systems in place when you are on that boat, and you don't want to be in the way. You just need to be moving and making sure stuff is flowing correctly, everything's baited, watching flags. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot to take in.
It's, I know from my first couple experiences, like trolling with Scott and everything, like it was really frustrating at times because you're trying to figure out the system and stuff. And I mean, I know you learned some of it just being in the boat. And,
oh yeah.
You know, but like getting those rods set up and stuff just takes so much work. And
oh yeah.
Not only that, but you know, you're dealing with a lot of math, which Scott talked about when we were on the water. You know.
Yeah, and to interject about that, like, so when you talk about the math is actually about the amount of ounces that you're using as weight versus the depth and your speed.
Yeah. And
that gets you to your trolling depth that you want to be at, and you're staggering many lines. We had 8 out at one time. We could have had 9, but we only went with 8, and all of them were at different depths.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, basically when you're trolling, the biggest thing about it is you're covering a huge area of water, and all the different areas of the water column during that. So you're definitely spot on with the math. Like, you know, you got to know that, you know, you're running a 1 ounce weight, so half the line you let out is the depth that your bait's going to be running in, you know. But you do want to cover that water column, and obviously, you know, reading your depth finder is a huge thing. You know, when you're going over marking fish, you're seeing where they're at in that water column, and you want to cover that whole area altogether.
Oh yeah, yeah.
For sure.
It's Scott Perz. This guy, Amazing dude, very cool. So so thankful for the 2 weekend, the 2 week night there, or the weekend rather. Thanks to you, of course, as well.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. It was a great trip, man. I'm glad we got some fish and we had some fun.
Yeah,
sure.
and I learned a whole lot. And it is not kayak fishing, folks. This is totally different, but it was fun. A lot of fun, and I'd love to do it again. Now knowing what it takes, and I feel I could probably step up to the plate and start running boards.
Yeah, I think so too.
Start doing that kind of stuff. But yeah. So with that being said, we're on our way back home to Illinois. It's been a great time. I am super tired. I know that Brian is too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, get out there and fish, and make sure you like and subscribe to this video. Take care.